So here's the material that I use for tying a very large leech fly that you can use either to catch bass or pike, pickerel. It's eyelash yarn. The brand name is Disco. It's getting harder and harder to find. And to prepare a piece of this for putting on the fly, I'll separate out the fibers. You notice they all run in one direction. So I need to pull some back to get down to the core of the material. Then I'm going to use my lighter and I burn it so that the end is singed. Now if it's not singed enough, I'm going to come back here and holding all the fibers away from that core, I'll just make sure that that catches and burns down a little bit. That way this is locked in, it kind of fuses to itself, and the fibers don't come out once the fly is tied. So here I have my 4 pieces of eyelash yarn material. I've cut them at varying lengths so that the tail on the fly will be staggered. The longest one is about 9 inches long. The overall fly should be maybe 9-10 inches long. The overall fly should be about 1 foot long. You can choose to tie them whatever length you like, but this is going to be a pike fly, so I like it big. So to tie this fly, we'll start the thread at the bend. It's really a simple fly to tie. Then we'll add each length of eyelash yarn, one after another. I used to worry about keeping the tail solid and together. I'm going to put the longest one on first. I'll just trap plenty of that fiber pinned back against the shank of the hook right there at the bend. A couple turns to keep it on, a couple more just to pin it down. I'm going to try to go progressively longer. I used to worry about each strand being connected at some point in the back end of the fly, back at the tail here. Doesn't seem to make a whole lot of difference to the fish. Even this taper may not make much difference. You could probably put the same length of material for each of the 4 strands of yarn coming off the back of the fly, and it would work just fine. A lot of the appeal of this fly has more to do with the plastic that's woven into this yarn. It's nice and flashy. If you can find the metallic variety of Disco, it comes in gold and silver, and that produces excellent pike flies, and they imitate large. They look like I've clipped out some of the tags, ends of the yarn here, and pinned them down with wraps of thread. I like to clean it up a little bit before I add the body material to this fly. And the body material is just going to be some more eyelash yarn. I'll take 2 strands of the same color eyelash yarn, and I need to hold it from the very end of the length of yarn and fold back any fibers that are sticking out the tip. I want to line these up so that the fibers are all coming out the same side on the 2 pieces that I'll use, keeping them side by side so that you see the core on one side is bare and all the fibers come out the other side. You can think of this material when you wrap it for a body a lot like sort of a rabbit zonker strip, where you've got a hide side and a fur side. By folding back the fibers, I can pin this down. Makes for a little fuller body there at the bend of the hook. I'll clean this up just a little bit to try to keep a nice neat base to wrap my body onto, and then just advance the thread. It's really pretty self-explanatory, but the way that I wrap the body, I feel makes for a much fuller pattern. So if I twist these to keep the fur side of the yarn on one side, I can take this combined 2 lengths of yarn, keeping the 2 core sides parallel. I'm going to wrap forward and stroke back the fibers with each turn. If I do this correctly and tease out the fibers with each turn, the leading core piece of yarn will advance, and the back one will wrap over the previous wrap slightly. it produces a much fuller body, and it ends up looking a lot more solid in the water. I've heard another way to do this is to just wrap this stuff on and take a nice stiff metal brush and brush out or comb out the fibers along the length of the shank of the hook. I like to keep the fibers the way they are on the yarn. I have a feeling that doing that might just fray the fibers. You'd end up with a much different style body. But with this, with flies like this, fishing for pike and large game fish that are looking for a big meal, I'm not entirely sure it makes that much difference. I just like the aesthetics of having the fiber look the same as the tail. The nice thing about this material is it has the motion, that loose, flowing, undulating motion of rabbit fur in the water, but it's got the flash of the plastic tinsel woven in, and once we got to the front here, we'll just tie that off. It's got the motion of rabbit fur, but the flash of the woven in tinsel, and it comes in all sorts of colors. But the best thing is, unlike rabbit fur, this stuff does not hold on to water. You'll throw this fly on about an 8-weight fly rod, and you'll notice as soon as you pick it up on the back cast, when it hits the end of the cast, all that water just goes right off. It flips right off the back of the fly, and it becomes very easy to cast, even though it's a very long, chunky fly. And that's it. It's a really simple fly to tie. It produces great results, and you see that's a really big long fly. This is tied on a size 2/0 hook. If I had larger hooks, I probably would go with a 3/0 or even a 5/0 for this pattern, but I guarantee if you throw this in some weeds, you will find some pike that'll hit that, especially if you tie it in gold or silver. You can always do a silver tail or a gold tail and then change up with a metallic red for the body up here. Anyway, good luck tying and fishing these, and I hope you catch a lot of big pike.